children, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the velocity of money, or the quantity theory of money. What this boils down to is a pretty simple equation. All it is M times V equals P times Q. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, M is your money supply. So that's what we've been talking about, the amount of money that's in the economy at any given time, set by the Federal Reserve. V is your velocity of money, and what that actually means is the velocity of money is the amount of times that each individual dollar exchanges hands in a year. So anytime each individual dollar is used to purchase goods or services. So your money supply times your velocity of money is equal to your price level times real GDP. So price level times real GDP is going to be essentially our real GDP, but it's going to be one side of the equation. So it's MV equals P times Q. So let's talk about what I mean by that. So right now, let's say that aggregate demand is increasing. Maybe consumer confidence has increased. And so because of that, the velocity of money is increasing. Consumer confidence is increased, and so people are more likely to spend their money. So if consumer confidence is increasing, well, then our real GDP has to be going up. So our velocity and our real GDP are going to be very closely tied together. If this happens, our velocity increases and real GDP is increasing, it's going to be looking like this. Aggregate demand has increased. Our price level has increased, so I can include that now. And our real output has increased as well. Our real GDP has increased. And so because we have increasing price level and quantity, or real GDP, we have to have an increasing velocity, and vice versa. The money supply, however, we're just going to say that it stayed constant right now. The price level increase was caused by all the extra spending that people were doing. So we're spending money, getting ourselves into this inflationary gap. The velocity of money increased, which caused the price level and our real GDP to both increase as well. Money supply didn't change. All right, now I'm going to show you another way that this could work, or that this could look. We are now in this inflationary gap. In order to get ourselves out of an inflationary gap, the Federal Reserve would want to do something to decrease the money supply. Maybe they'll increase the reserve requirement ratio or sell bonds. What happens then is that we have a decrease in the money supply. That's going to cause the price level to decrease. As there's less money in the economy, prices will come back down. It should also cause our quantity, or real GDP, to decrease if we increase the nominal interest rate because we decrease the money supply. We should see aggregate demand decrease and shift back to the left because this is a contractionary policy. And so we're probably going to see the velocity of money decrease as well. It could remain constant. You could see the velocity of money remain constant even though the money supply is decreasing and real GDP is decreasing. And that's because that money supply decreasing might be responsible for the price level and real GDP coming down. I'm going to assume that we also decided to spend less money, but it could have stayed constant as well. Finally, one last way to look at this, we can talk about the actual numbers when we're talking about M times V equals P times Q, or money supply times velocity equals price times quantity. So right now, let's say that our price times quantity is $1,000. We have a real GDP of $1,000. We know that we have $500 in the money supply. That means that this real GDP, our $1,000 divided by 500, could come out to 2. Our velocity of money has to be 2 because M times V has to be equal to P times Q. 500 times 2 equals $1,000. So I could have just found this out by doing basic algebra. 500 times what equals $1,000? Or I could have said that 1,000 divided by this 500 equals 2, because I know together they have to be equal to that P times Q. So that's the velocity of money and the quantity theory of money. I'll see you next time.